doesn't help everybody. So I was thinking, like, how do you guys want to see this happen? Like, do you want to, want me to write down 3 or 4 topics that you want to talk about, or?
I always find it helpful that, regardless of what we all have going on, like, if someone is dealing with something different or new, or, I think that we learn a lot from that.
So the struggles, where you're struggling.
Struggling or maybe a huge
winning.
win, or like.
Yeah, I like that idea. Like, where are you struggling and where are you winning? Because we might have a week where we're not doing either. And
Yeah.
then I'm here to listen and then to give input,
Yeah.
right? Where I think I can help.
Yeah.
But I think we can get through it a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And, hopefully this room grows on Fridays, because I find it, the most helpful hour of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So part of what I was realizing this morning, like, when it is, say, this size group, plus Megan and Sam or whatever, like, what I realize is when I ask you how your last week was and you have to say it out loud, and you come into this room and knowing you have to say it out loud, there is some sort of accountability to your week prior to coming in here that you end up being more productive.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody wants to come in this room and say nothing. Like, I didn't do anything. I have nothing going on. So, like, part of it was that.
Okay.
Right? But when we have a room full of people, the room doesn't collectively gain wisdom or knowledge from that. So
Yeah. And we don't know what they were doing previously.
and we didn't know what they were doing previously, and I will say, like, when we get into a situation where the room is full like that, like, nobody benefits from talking about what's closed this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to keep it to a mastermind of moving forward. Like,
Active business.
what do we have going on? What are we seeing right now? What are we struggling with? What are we winning with? So I guess, I still want to do it in the form of going around the room and, kind of picking some things out that we can collectively talk about. Like, if you have something, or,
I think the other challenge is, what are you doing to run into the storm?
Sure.
That's basically where we've been and where we're going. Will it be a storm, or is it?
Well, Scott sent me something this morning, and I know you were thinking it too.
Yeah. Scott who?
Hurlbert.
That's Scott. Oh.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hiding behind Bill.
No, I thought you were saying Scott, because Scott's not here.
It said, if you're a realtor feeling disappointed in your 2024 numbers, don't give up. 2024 saw the least amount of transactions closed in the last 35 years.
35 years.
35 years.
Bill, you're the only one that was licensed then.
Bless you, brother.
Like, right?
Yeah.
No, and okay,
Like, interest rates will probably be 15%.
that was not a dig at Bill.
I know.
Oftentimes, we have conversations where me and Bill and Jimmy were the only ones licensed during the recession or whatever, right? So I do a lot of back in my day conversations.
Yeah.
But now, Bill, this is the only one that you can be like,
Hey, Bill, if you don't mind, let's start working this room, like, around the outside. I know I didn't reset the tables, but when we did last week, if you can come sit up here so you can look inward, so people aren't looking backwards.
Steer it to yourself.
Like, last week, we just had all these tables full, and everybody's looking this way, so if somebody's in the back talking, it was just, like, turning around. So yeah, that's pretty eye-opening. This is the least amount of transactions done or homes sold in 35 years.
Who in here has closed more volume than they ever have before this year?
Like dollars? Yeah.
Right? Isn't that impressive?
So I looked at our numbers in the office the other day. We are down. So last year we were down 30% in closed units, 34%, which was a ton. Huh? from 2022, which was a good year, right? This year we're still down almost 10% off of that. So from 2 years ago, we're down 44%. Closed units. But volume this year over last year is up. What was that number? Oh yeah, it was a fraction of a percent. Our volume is just up barely. I mean, what I do like about all this is that I think that there's good times ahead. I think that there's a lot of positive changes that'll happen that'll cause 2025 to be ramping, back in the upward trajectory. I don't see any indications of us going backwards anymore. Does anybody else?
I think the demographics are changing, and also the housing affordability issue is being reshaped into more dense housing situations. We're seeing a lot of subdivisions, and these aren't your old-time subdivisions where there was a big enough plot of land you could put a septic, field and have a reserve field. You need a couple acres for that, or at least an acre. And so that, really tightens down the land space, number one. And number two, there's more housing available for lease or for rent that are being developed right now. I don't know the one out on
Like these grown-out subdivisions?
well, that and also some of the new stuff coming in on the corner of Grand River and Door Road. That's all going to be condos.
Mm.
Now, whether they're condos for rent or sale, I don't know.
Is
I
that a
thought they were
Chestnut?
gonna be apartments.
Is that a Chestnut development there?
I'm not sure if
No,
it
it
was.
was the same people who did the Hilton Cove one. They own that property, and they might not be working with MJR or MR, whatever that.
Oh,
company,
okay.
the
Red Door.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the people who own that land and did that development, own that one at Grand River and Door Road, and from what I understood, it's supposed to be like apartments.
Oh, okay.
And I called them to try to get some more information about it, but they're still, they're just in the beginning.
I'm on the next door feed, like people, and somebody said something about Pulte at Chalice and
Yeah,
Bauer. Where's that exactly? Is that like west of the old part of,
Chalice and Bauer.
I think that was like,
Other side of Mount Franklin?
on the north?
At the roundabout?
After the roundabout where they redid it, like, is it up there on the hill?
Yeah.
I always thought that land was empty because it didn't perk.
Well, the sewers.
Well, then they'll put in sewers, yeah.
They'll do sewer from the city. So Pulte's gonna do sewers, connect.
Must
So
be.
it must go west enough, okay.
So it becomes, that shift. And I know I found this year that it was all repeat and referral business. Pretty much, that was it. And really reaching out, I'm doing a lot of that right now into people that have been on the market or somewhere in my database, wherever, and talking to those people or making every attempt to talk to people that maybe were on the market and it didn't work out the last 2-3 years. You can go back quite a ways in that data.
I like that you just went there. Something that I remember talking about at the beginning of this year, because last year was down so much. I was talking to Joe Barnwell specifically. When 2023 was like a rough year, and he's so sphere-based, he just comes in and he's always been so consistent in his sphere of influence. And we know that the math is 5 to 6% of your database that is consistently touched will transact in real estate, or they can refer you business or whatever, right? As long as you're consistently keeping in touch with them. But Joe has been so consistent over time to look at his business and see that it was down. It was easy to say the whole industry is down units, by 30% right now. So it's easy to see that number down in your business right now, 30%. But the conversation is if 2024, this year, was going to be better, then there's going to be pent-up energy in your database from 2023 that didn't move from whatever specific reasons, interest rates or inventory, to the pent-up energy releasing in 2024, if 2024 is going to be better, in which Joe did see, business got better this year, but with us still being down, if 2025 is going to be better, there might be pent-up energy in all of your databases from the last couple of years that decided not to move. Does that make sense?
Well, the other thing that's happened is that their equity has increased above average, so that they're sitting there maybe with low or no mortgage, and entering into the idea, hey, well, you want to sell and you want to buy, how about let's look at using your leverage here to buy, pay cash, get that house set, and we'll sell your house.
Yeah.
And it works.
Oh, it's a great strategy.
Well, even people that don't want to do that, if you position a house right, and price it right, it's going to be going really quick. And you got to quickly go out and find another place.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on, what their mindset is.
So I saw a post the other day. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. If any of you guys follow the Glover Facebook group or Glover Coaching Facebook group, or it was in a part of it, and it showed an MLS graph, like the new listings, the coming soons, the pendings, the closed, right? The middle applet inside of the MLS, and it showed like a ton of new listings and a ton of price reductions. And the question was like, what does this tell you? And I don't know where it's at. It was over 1,000 new listings and over, even more than that price reductions. And as I was going through the comments, it was like, stop overpricing your listings. Stop overpricing your listings. Like it was one of the tactics of the shift that they were talking about. We have to pay attention to that right now, especially as we come into this winter. We're going to see the normal movement of maybe a little bit more inventory, a little bit more days on the market. And we're never going to be able to plan to either see the bottom of the market or the top, just like the stock market. But we will be able, as long as we're paying attention to that, if we start to see the inventory climb and we start to pay attention to price reductions, then it will make us better at listing and pricing houses accordingly. So let's go.
I think that's where we sort of ran into a weird situation this year with the election. Obviously, we had the spring surge, so naturally we're going to see the seasonality of it. Because the election seemed to bog it down, and we didn't really see that in 2020 because we had the COVID momentum. So it's really been 8 years since we've gone through a presidential cycle to like what we just saw. So I think that, along with people pricing too much off of the spring surge, that saw these numbers, my neighbor sold for 400, why is my house only worth 350? Because of the time of year.
Yeah.
And so I think that the combination of those two probably led to where we are, and we're leading the way through the economy right now, as real estate does. So I think that we're on that slight uptick, but everyone else is sort of feeling it a little bit heavier right now than we are in our industry.
Well, I mean, what's the next big thing that's coming up that is costing everybody a ton of money? Christmas, right? I mean, do you think that that'll have an effect on what buyers do in the next 20 days.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly the next 30 days after that, while they have credit card debt, that's a little heavier than it was before.
But, you know, it's a good time to focus on just talking to people. Don't worry about trying to close another deal right now. It's about lining up and having something that is gonna be ready to go, you know, by Mother's Day.
Yeah.
You know, I kinda got alerted to that with, I think it was Bill Maniaci was talking about the period between Mother's Day and Father's Day. If you go back and look at those deals, it's the most multiple offer situations that you're probably gonna see, cause everybody's, well, not everybody, but people's mindset is like, it's nice out, let's do something. So finding that, and I would suggest, you know, spend some time, go through your database and look at them, through, in the MLS, you can, you know, go to the, full report and it will show a little bit about what their heat score or cell score might be, and then go over and check Remind. And what I'm finding is that the cell scores aren't there, but the buy scores are, you know, are up. And that's as much of an indicator to me as, yeah, we're looking, you know, so take it from that end and increase your contact with those kind of people.
The name of the game. Scott, Aaron, are you guys, I know Sam, I'm skipping over you, just because you don't, are you guys seeing anything out in the market right now that you're struggling with?
I'm busier than I've been in years.
Why is that?
I missed part of it. What'd you just say?
I'm busier than I've been in years, and can I be transparent?
Sure.
No. Gary
Yeah.
Keller.
Lie.
Would Gary Keller be?
Well, I'd love to say, oh, it's because I did this and because I did that, and I have slightly increased my activity, but I think it's the market. It's because I've been around for a long time, and the market is improving, so my phone is ringing, and I hate to say that.
What do you mean by the market improving?
I think confidence is up. I think that people who were staying in homes because of low interest rates are finally realizing that 2% is never going to happen again. So people are starting to move again. And it's kind of tongue in cheek, but like, if you made it through the recession, then you made it, right? That's all you had to do was hang on. It's the same thing for the last 18 months. All you had to do, and that's very minimalistic, so please take my words for what I mean them to be. All you had to do was hang on. And if you made it, congratulations. You're not one of the people that dropped out of the industry, because there were a lot.
There weren't as many as they expected.
Not as many as they expected, but like our holding company is hopping, right? It's a very popular place to be. So congratulations, you made it, and all you have to do is double down on your activities now. So I think I'm busier than I've been in years because of longevity. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we're consistent, right? We do our client events. We've got Santa coming up on Sunday. We do our happy hour. We do something in the spring every year. So, and we send out a monthly newsletter. I try to stay in touch with people.
Sure.
And they're limping in, and now they can get back in, and they feel like, you know, you can get concessions.
So, what I'm hearing again is kind of like, there is some pent-up demand out there from the people who did not act or could not act in the last couple of years. Like, they're seeing a little bit of optimistic behaviors going on that now they're starting to look seriously. So if you've been out there with your realtor hat on and people remember that your realtor hat's on because you've stayed in front of them in some way, shape, or form, they're reaching out to say, hey, I might be doing something.
I've had a couple clients that bought hastily in 2021, like when
We saw a lot of that.
And they're not happy with their house. They had to do more to it than they thought, or they're just feeling that pinch of we need more space now, and so they're reaching out to me. And
I mean, how many of us in the room saw clients buy something because it was the only thing that they could buy at that
Me.
time?
Me. I move again.
Right? I mean,
3 years
So-
in November.
the point is go back and think about those people that made those decisions and make sure that you're not saying, hey, you want to sell your house, but make sure that you're staying in front of them, sharing positive news about what's going on in the real estate market right now. It might spark something that says, yeah, you know what? Screw this house. I'm ready to look again.
So some of the people who bought, they won the bid, they were on top, paid 50,000 over. That's gonna come back to bite them because, the value of the house is here, they overpaid here, and depreciation maybe hasn't quite caught up. They just can't understand why their house is not from this going up, no, it's back here going up, and so they bought equity,
Yeah. Well, we'll see some of that for sure.
or sold in equity.
And if anybody does see that to where somebody did buy in the last couple of years and they can't sell for more than what they bought for, always remember that they don't actually have to pay the state and county transfer tax. Is it state and county or state? If they sell for less than they bought for,
Really?
they're exempt from paying state, I think it's state and county transfer tax,
$7.50 a thousand,
$7.60.
60. Well.
That was 860.
$8.60.
$7.50 for the state and $1.10 for the
County.
county.
Yeah. So if you do come across that, they are exempt from paying that.
And if they do pay it,
They get a refund.
well, yes, and they'll get a letter in the mail from an attorney, so that's what they do.
Yeah.
They get freaked out, but they can go do it themselves.
That's very true. David, what are you seeing out there? Anything you're struggling with or any wins going on?
I mean, wins, so I have a couple buy-sells that are finally starting to wake back up, and that's just from, these people that I picked up, one I've had for a little over a year now, the other two are early spring this year that just started the conversation and then just kind of pumped the brakes. They went dormant for a little bit over the summer and early fall, at least as far as being active on their searches, and I just kept hounding and checking in and going, why are we not looking at this? Why are we not looking at that? And within the last week or two, they've all sparked back into the conversation. So I'm like, all right.
It's usually how it works, all at
let's
once.
rock and roll, and hello, welcome to the conversation. But that's been really wild to see, and starting to get more activity on the referral side. So I've had a few closings recently, and they're just like, yep, we're all of our friends, family, we're having conversations with their coworkers. So.
Are you doing anything different, staying in touch with your clients this year that is causing maybe some of this interest to light up?
Just being a little more intentional about it.
In what way?
I've never been like super active on social media. I'm more of the belly-to-belly guy. So I rather have those, phone call conversations, the text messages, and then I've been doing a lot more networking events. So that's all starting to generate more and more conversations, especially now that the election has ended.
Yeah.
So a few holiday things coming up in terms of networking with a couple groups I'm a part of, so they'll be well attended and good opportunities.
Good.
I do think that there's a huge opportunity right now for people who aren't social media active, like you said, to where people are putting up pictures of their families or things that they're doing and just commenting or sending a message, just start creating conversation. I think it's one of the easiest times of year to start doing because of everything that goes on, so take advantage of it.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to think, like, anybody that you're in front of right now on a consistent basis that is noticing you, or, I mean, even you don't even know that they are, but guess what they're going to do over the next 19 days, or even 30 days, over the course of Christmas and New Year's and everything. They're going to be spending time around friends and family, dinner table conversations, the things that come up, right? And if somebody at the dinner table starts mentioning, like, hey, I think I'm going to move next year, like, Jamie might be at the table being like, hey, like, my friend Marissa got into real estate and she's crushing it, right? You should use her. She's doing great. Your referral sources might be at that table. They might be not be the ones moving, but they might be the ones at that table that need to know that you're there.
That was the reason why my closing gifts are what they are. They're coasters for a reason.
Yeah. Mine are Cutco knives.
They're there for a reason because they are going to get brought up by friends and family when they go to events.
Yeah.
Important on that note, I love that you're staying top of mind long term with coasters or Cutco knives with your clients. I shared this probably 6 months ago. Does your sphere know to refer you? So some of my dearest friends, right? We camp with them. We spend New Year's with them. Like,
I remember this.
right? Like, I'm one of their children's godmothers, right? We're close. Mentioned, oh, the neighbor's selling. Well, does she?
That house is
know her?
listed right now.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. You don't know?
For $1.5 million
Right? Don't you think Aunt Erin might like the
on Crooked
yeah.
Lake.
Oh, that one?
Yeah. But I hadn't taught them to do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so they didn't even think to,
Closest friends.
like, literally, if they die, I get their children.
So what would you suggest to build that?
So there's
thought
lots
in
of
their head?
different methods. One is just telling
The
them.
simplest one is to tell them.
Yeah, that's
Like, hey, if you know of anybody, like, get consistent with when you get off the phone. Like, if you're making business, sphere calls during business hours, hey, this call's about business. How are things going? I'm working on my 2025 business plan, and I have a goal to help 30 families next year. So, can I trust that if you come across anybody who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, that you can, refer them over to me? Like, that's not just the conversation, but
You have to have.
that's as you go through your.
High enough to do the ask, right?
Right.
But that's the point of consistent contacts. There's also, like, so for Katie and Jared, when the neighbor says that they are on my list, I should have given them a handful of business cards. Hey, do you mind? Blah, blah, blah. Or I loved Jim Schaefer. Jim Schaefer had a program. It was a referral rewards program. So refer him one deal and you got a pair of socks with Jim's face on it, which that checks out for him, right? I couldn't get away with that. No one wants socks. And the more you referred him, the higher the rewards were. And it was a planned out program to the point where he would pay for your lawn care for the summer and lots of fun things. So it was pointing out, hey, I want referrals and here's what you're going to get in return for that. I've also been on this for a while. I want to get my entire sphere licensed and put into holding so they have an incentive to refer me.
Good idea.
We have a holding company, right? They do have to, there's some cost involved. They have to get licensed. Like, the class is no cost to them.
Did you know that apparently now, guys, you can take your real estate licensing test online?
What?
We've had 2 people do it so far.
You have to go to Southfield?
You don't have to go anywhere.
Wow.
Spencer just took his last Saturday online.
They pass.
No.
How
But-
do you not pass if you're doing it online?
Well, because he said you have to you have to have a computer monitor that has the camera attached to it. You have to, like, pick it up, like, show around the room 360 degrees. You have to take your phone and on camera, go set it outside the door. You have to, like, show the camera under your desk to make sure that nobody's sitting under your desk. But yes, he took it online, and there's a person that sits and watches you take it Darnell Jones just passed his, did it online.
We did it? Okay.
So please know that now. Like, if you know somebody who wants to get licensed, they can do the whole entire thing online.
We're talking about my dad, and his retirement plans, right? And he can only collect, it was like 15 or 20 grand while collecting Social Security. So he's like, we'll just filter my commissions to you north of like the 20 grand. And then I had the like, let's get my mom licensed. Then we can pay him 20 grand or whatever it is. We can pay her 20 grand in referrals. It's the plan.
Cool.
That
Yeah.
man's just gonna go outsell him.
Okay. Good.
Just on the referral thing, the big thing I noticed is what you do after you receive it from that other person, right? Like, if you wait till the closing and then thank the people, right? But it's the action of getting the referral. If you're super thankful and you reach back out to them, it means a lot, and you like fill them up, they'll keep going.
Reward the action.
You don't
Yes.
have to buy them stuff. You just gotta make them feel good,
Yeah.
and that's definitely it.
Yeah. Let them know how important it is to you, right? The handwritten, Jimmy Fallon handwritten card video. I love that. So good.
So tonight, we're going to a housewarming, and I'm gonna use that when they start talking real estate. I'm gonna say, listen, all you fools, you get license.
And we have
So-
free classes.
So then, yeah, and then Melissa will pipe in about the free, Keller Williams free classes.
Mm-hmm.
And go, then when you guys sell your house, you're getting a referral.
Yeah.
Yeah, these 10% referral fees, they're great.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't. They'll be doing shots of tequila, they won't remember. But
But seriously, like, if that's how, like, they get reminded to, start listening for those conversations. Because, I mean, guys, how many times do you remember being a brand new real estate licensee, going to a restaurant and sitting and hearing the booth behind you talking about somebody over there is buying and selling real estate, and you're like, shit. Like you start, it's like that reticular activating system that Tony,
The Riz.
yeah, right? The
Raz?
Raz.
The Rizzler.
The Raz, not the Riz. My son thinks he invented the Riz, and I am the granddaddy Rizzler. That's what he says.
I've been trying to tell my stepkids get their license, they're not gonna do it, and they could be getting referral fees, because we get some of their people.
Yeah,
And James is 13, he's getting his damn license.
yeah.
His teachers say he's not gonna be a realtor, he's gonna be an engineer. But
Troy says he's going to be the team leader here, and he will, because he tries to recruit everybody. But yes, I think that's something that we always have to pay attention to, and I'm glad you brought that point up. Is like, yes, people are going to be talking to their family and friends, but if you look like you're too busy and they don't know that you're accepting referrals or that you enjoy referrals.
Or where you like to work. I had a past client of mine who I found out moved, then showed up to my client appreciation event, and I found out at the client appreciation event he moved without me. And he's in insurance, so like we had passed referrals back and forth, and I go, what the?
Yeah.
And he goes, I didn't know you sold in Livonia anymore.
Seriously.
Oh, which that was an excuse. He's an idiot.
I didn't know you sold insurance in Livingston.
Yeah.
That's just not my insurance guy anymore.
Oh, I remember that one too.
Well, this is also the same guy who let me drive around my brand new mom bus for 6 months with no insurance.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. Jim, what are you and Melissa seeing out there? Anything you're struggling with, or any wins?
Well, historically, Melissa and I, our best months have been December, not this year, but, so it's just kind of,
You guys are
we're
just,
all sphere-based, so
Yeah.
it's just timing, but it's just weird. If you took our best month since we've been together, it's been December, or June, but
Yeah.
mostly December.
Yeah.
And, we've been just reaching out to our clients, and some of our VIP people, we've been actually recently asking out to dinner, and they're super busy, but
it's the ask.
Melissa asked, one example, she asked somebody to go out. They can't, but we already have a referral, listing appointment, because, like, we're in contact with these people, but
Yeah.
we're reminding them. So,
Yeah.
oh, well, so-and-so, and it's like, okay. And then we just get an event that way.
It was about the touch,
Yeah, right.
right? And yes, you would have gone out to dinner and had a great time, but
Oh, yeah. And
So many times.
We're just dealing with, we have people that didn't like the results of the election. Some of them are just unhinged. They're just afraid still that, oh, this tariff thing and whatever, it's just like, you're a hairdresser, get 2 more deals, no big deal.
And no tax on tips.
Oh, right, true. Oh, is that really gonna happen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, boom. I should be a bartender.
Yeah.
I'll get deals that way.
Yeah. But it's real. It's a real thing.
And we're just, actually, I've been just working on, our command's been just in disarray. So I've been organizing and deleting and calling, getting
So-
everything done.
It's interesting that you say, like, you know, historically December, is it December closings have been your biggest closing month?
Yeah, yeah,
So
like
that's
last December, we were good. It's like every 3 years, December is like our best month.
So that's the best month for closings.
Yeah.
That means that's a lag effect, right?
Right.
So the leading factor happened in August, September, right?
Right.
Towards the end of summer.
Right.
So what do you think, if you looked back, you know, turned up and at the end of summer for you to have these closings in December,
We
you
went
know,
back to work in September.
right? You guys had the pool all summer, and I mean, it's legitimately something to look at, and that's why I like looking back at multi-year trends. You know, you can all look back at your business and month over month what you did last year December, last year January, right? And see the trends and see it's kind of how your life flows. Like, we have this natural seasonality. If we all stay consistent throughout the year, we will naturally see a seasonality in our business. But we also have a life seasonality to where
Football season, I'm not working much.
hunting season, typically, historically, during real estate, I saw a lull, like a dip in closings January, February, March. Like, legitimately, and sometimes didn't have my first closing until April. Like, I'm like broke the whole first quarter of the year because I hunted from October through December.
But you have plenty of food.
Huh?
You got a freezer full of meat.
I ate well. Like, my family didn't starve, luckily, but I could see that in my business. And most of my business, like I'd always talked about, my best year, when people are feeling down and they're like, oh my God, first quarter is nothing, and I don't, that thing is, I don't like it. Call Bill
I thought it was
Tate.
just me.
Bill Tate!
I thought it would be good.
Tinnitus.